Well, we'll talk to the Chinese ambassador in a moment. First, his Japanese counterpart, Keiichi Hayashi. Ambassador, these islands aren't inhabited. Why don't you just give them to the Chinese?
It is a matter of principle. It is a matter of sovereignty. I know the British also have the sovereignty issue. We acquired these islands peacefully and lawfully in the late 19th century. And since then, we have held the sovereignty for more 120 years. And China never challenged it until 1970.
But is it really worth jeopardizing the security of the whole of that part of the world and possibly the world itself?
I think the question should be directed to the Chinese. So we have held the effective control of the islands very peacefully and in accordance with the international law. And they are challenging the status quo by force and coercion. It's completely against the international order.
Isn't what's really happening here that Japan is seeking to re-establish a military identity?
No, that's not quite
It is
quite
true you're seeking constitutional reform in your country.
Well, the track record of the Japanese commitment to peace has been very strong, and the Prime Minister himself has made it very clear that he has no intention of changing the core tenets of pacifism, including war denunciation,
But why does he want
stability
to
in the
change the
Constitution.
Constitution to remove the inhibition on settling disputes by force of arms?
We are not engaged in any use of force at all. As I said, it's...
He wants to change the Constitution.
No, as I said, well, there could be some debate over the Constitution, but Prime Minister, as I said, made it very clear that he has no intention of changing the core tenets of pacifism, including war denunciation. And over the islands, what has been happening is that the utmost self-restraint on the part of the Japanese, while the Chinese have continuously been trying to change the status quo by force and coercion. And we are very much concerned about it. It's a dangerous provocation, but that's, as has been mentioned, I think they have to abide by the rule of law rather than resorting to the use of force and coercion.
Do you think it helps things to use childish abuse, comparing people to Voldemort, for example?
Well, I don't want to resort to he who must not be named today, but I only responded to the Chinese ambassador's groundless, baseless accusation. But I think the important message, the major thrust of my message earlier, is to call for dialogue at the top level, simply because we have some difference.
But do you see there's nothing to talk about?
Why?
How can there be dialogue when you consider there's nothing to discuss?
There is a difference of views, so we ought to sit down and talk. And the problem is not our sovereignty, but the problem is more to do with the continuous Chinese provocation. And we need to sit down and talk to sort out.
Okay, Ambassador, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, we can pick up on some of those points with the Chinese ambassador, Liu Xiaoming. How are you?
Fine,
Thank
Jeremy.
you very much for coming in.
So good
Have
to
a
see you
seat.
again.
Nice to see you. Yes, hello.
see you.
Sorry. Now, how serious do you think this is?
Very serious. This is a very serious issue. Japanese Prime Minister's visit to Yasukuni Shrine, in our view, is not a small matter. It concerns how Japanese face up to their history of aggression. But we care more about how, I would quote Winston Churchill's words, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. So we're concerned that if they do not face up to their, disgraceful record of aggression, what will happen for their future?
OK, you raised this question of the visit to the shrine. There have been over 60 prime ministerial visits to that shrine since the Second World War, and to 20-something of them, the Chinese raised no objection at all.
That was not right. I know this Japanese ambassador's figure. It was not until 1978 when the 14 A-class war criminals moved in, and then in 1985, Japanese Prime Minister, together with the whole cabinet, with the shrine, we lodged a strong protest. So since then, we made countless protests against this.
But let's look at these islands. Why have you suddenly asserted control of the air, for example, above them? Why have you suddenly done that?
That was a good question. Why this matter cropped up so suddenly? It has been very peaceful for the past 40 years. First of all, I would say this island has been to China, has been part of Chinese territory since ancient times. It was not until 1895 when China lost the war with Japan. They seized illegally. But according to Cairo Declaration, Boston Proclamation, all the territory seized illegally by Japan should be returned to China. That is international document agreed by Britain, British leader, American leader, and Chinese leader.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with the Cairo Declaration. When was that?
1945.
Right. Now, it's nothing to do, you say, then, with natural resources which may be connected to these islands or may be available from these islands.
It was about sovereignty. It's about territorial integrity. Let me finish about why it come up. When we normalized relation in '72, both leaders agree. There's a dispute over the island. We should shelve the difference. Deng Xiaoping in 1978, when he visited Japan, he was asked this question about Diaoyu Island, and he said, "We have a dispute with Japan, but I think we can shelve it for the time being. The future generation will be wiser than us. So we agree to shelve it. But Japanese want to change the status quo. In the past few years, what did they do? They try to nationalize this island. They want to, purchase this island by their government.
How far are you prepared to take this dispute?
How far?
Yeah.
First of all, we ask them, they have to face to the fact that we have a dispute over this island. They even refuse to recognize there's a dispute between the two countries.
Well,
over
implicitly, the ambassador over there a second or two ago was talking about the need for dialogue. That is an implicit recognition that there's a disagreement over it.
In fact, it was Abe who shut the door.
The Japanese Prime Minister.
Japanese Prime Minister of a dialogue between China and Japan, because it overturned the fundamental foundations of our two countries. How would you expect China would agree to talk to him when he refused to repent on the war crime the Japanese did to Chinese people? This is not only the case for China. Korean president also refused to meet Abe, the Prime Minister of Japan, because of his behavior on history issue.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.